And good to see you on the side of the show. And we are about getting into the newspapers for the morning. And there you have it, the Republic press already coming out to it, a story on phase 2 of the Planting for Food and Jobs campaign, where they're talking about the new policy measures that will be going into that new phase of the PFJ2. And that's got to do with the issues relating to the Planting for Food and Jobs campaign, indicating that Brian Achampong is already sowing seeds of agricultural revitalization. It's the biggest story on the front page of the Republic Press this morning. And Justin Kodia-Frimpong, who's the General Secretary of the new Patriotic Party, is also featuring there. NPP's Justin Kodia-Frimpong talks tough, vows to crack the whip on airing members, and we recall speaking to JFK a couple of days ago when he came into our studios here. And we have Napo cleared as Ministry debunks ASAP and Imani's claims on gas sale agreement. There's also the story about UG students' special needs demand removal of scholarship secretariat registrar. That's also another story featuring on the Republic Press for today. Leak tape, I was told Dampari is an NDC man and would make NPP lose the general elections in 2024. Bugri Nabu being quoted on that page there. We're being joined this morning now by Dr. Kwame Asante, who is a political scientist and also director for the Center of European Studies at the University of Ghana. Doc, it's such a pleasure to be having you here on the show. In fact, I'll be coming to you shortly to take your thoughts on some of the stories making the rounds. Let me just take a few more of them. The Daily Guide newspaper is also here this morning talking about the plans or plots, if you may want to call it that way, of removing the IGP. There's an update on that. IGP leaked tape saga. MPs grill COP Mensah tomorrow. And it comes to the picture of COP George Alex Mensah, who's in hot waters for allegedly plotting to remove the IGP. The Speaker has set up a special committee looking into the case. Bugri Nabu was the one first individual to appear because he was the one who was heard in that tape being reported to allegedly about a plot to remove the IGP. We'll see how all of that will unfold. 13 arrested over gunshots at Tamale Court. We're also paying close attention to that story for you. And Kennedy Kojo Poku storm NPP office. It's all part of that meeting which transpired yesterday. And Samuel Mbura will keep watching the updates from our political desk and bring you some updates on what the decision will be on members of the party who are accused of engaging in anti-party conduct. Man killed at Galamsey site, a story on page 6 of the Daily Guide newspaper. And the National Democratic Congress is back in the news again. They're fighting the EC over the limited registration exercise. The NDC believes that this exercise should not just be restricted to district offices, and there are plans to already take on the EC when it comes to legal matters. So we'll explore that shortly. Allow Adainimo Ejako to contest. That's one of the stories featuring on the Ghanaian Publisher for today. They seem to also come with a big story about how President Akufo-Addo is expected to commission one of the biggest salt mines in the country today. And it comes to the story that's featuring on page 2 of the Ghanaian Publisher. President commissions electrochem salt mine today, and it comes to the picture of Daniel Macaulay, who is the CEO of the Maritime Group, and President Akufo-Addo, who we understand will be part of that ceremony today. The claims are that this electrochem salt mine is one of the biggest in Africa. We'll get to look at it more in detail as the Ghanaian Publisher appears to be suggesting. There's also a story about Dr. Yao Seyeduchum appealing to teachers to support reforms. Detail of that story, page 3 of the Ghanaian Publisher. The NDC is also featuring here. The NDC is planning to sue the Electoral Commission over the limited voters registration exercises ahead of the district level elections. The NDC raising concerns about how the EC is simply planning to run the exercise in district offices across the country. We'll get into that. The Finder newspaper is also here this morning. Integrated Maritime Strategy launched, and it was as part of the conference which was held here in Accra to safeguard territorial waters from criminals. The president has been speaking there as well. So it comes with a picture of the president and some other officials from the Defense Ministry and the Ghana Armed Forces. The Youth Employment Agency is beginning disbursement of funds to some 2,540 beneficiaries today as part of their youth program. First Lady launches unifying campaign to promote gender equality. And we also have a story from the Ministry of Education, train students to be creators, not just repairers of machines. And that's coming from the Sector Minister, Dr. Yao Osei Educhu. Okay, why don't we take a look at the custodian this morning? The custodian this morning is talking about the story that we brought to you earlier from the Ghanaian publisher, also talking about President Akufo-Addo expected at the ceremony that will officially open Africa's biggest salt mine and processing plant today. It comes also here with a picture of Mr. Daniel Macaulay, who's the chairman of the Magdan Group, and President Akufo-Addo, who we understand will be attending this event. And Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 2, government to provide ready markets for farmers. It's part of the stories that we see coming up here. And NHIS to receive $27.7 million from the World Bank Group is also one of the stories, very top stories on the custodian today. It's good cash, I guess, for the National Health Insurance Scheme. So that's it for the custodian newspaper this morning. Let's just do two more and I'll come to you, Dr. Asah-Asante. The new crusading guide is also here. Baumia will win by landslide victory. That's coming from Baba Awal. And it comes with a tag of round 2 of NPP conferences, where over 200,000 delegates, we understand, will be deciding the future of the party. YEA begins disbursement of funds to the garment and textiles companies, and it's part of their program that they're running. Goldfields lands Gensa Energy deal for... Goldfields is actually lauding the Gensa Energy deal, and the claim is that it's providing mines with sustainable power. President Akufo-Addo is expected in Adan today to commission the biggest salt project ever in the country. And it's just in line with the stories we've been bringing to you in the custodian, the story in the Republic, the publisher today, which talks about the president attending that event, which will commission Magdan's salt mine in Adan. Angel Group goes global, ready to establish a distilling plant also in the United States of America. And there are more stories that we have for you, also featuring on the Republic Press today. All you need to know is, all you need to have is land, and that's got to do with Phase 2 of the Planting for Food and Jobs campaign, with the Republic Press indicating that Brian Achampon is sowing seeds of agricultural revitalization. Okay, now, let me bring in Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, who's Director of Center of European Studies at the University of Ghana. Doc, you're up this early, so yes, it's in order to say good morning, but the morning is not really good, looking at some of the developments we are already hearing of. Another coup d'etat on the African continent. Gabon is the latest to join the fray. Your outlook?
Very, very sad. Good morning, Lazard, and good morning to your viewers. I am not happy, and I think that is the view of everybody who mean well for democracy in Africa. We have struggled and come this far, so one would have expected that we'll sustain this process and then get to its logical, conclusion and get all the necessary benefits. But it seems to me that people have a different agenda. But we all must rise up and fight this canker. I can say without fear of contradiction that, yes, I admit there are problems with democracy, but it's the best form of government compared to military rule. I am not old, but at least I have seen 2 military coups in Ghana and the effect. And then I have also read extensively on military and politics, and all point to the fact that they bring nothing to the table. So it's unfortunate, but I believe that ECOWAS and AU, all of them will sit up and make sure that we get these miscreants out of our system. But that means that we should govern well. That means that we should respect people's will. That means that we should do away with all the things that will revert the clock of democracy backwards. And that is the way to go.
The numbers are becoming just too many for us, isn't it? Looking at the fact that
yes.
we've not finished dealing with Niger, then you have Gabon coming in the picture.
Yes, it's becoming one too many, and as if we are in the 70s and 90s. And then I see we are in the Latin America in the 80s and 90s, where military coup, you get up in the morning, the only announcement is military coup. It's not the best. And there are a whole lot of soldiers who come and then justify their actions. But I tell you, they don't amount to anything. It's just to what? Deceive you into believing that they have what it takes to govern. They don't have. And it's not me who is saying that. Scholars, soldiers themselves. If you read General Okran's book, he talks about the fact that soldiers are not trained how to, govern a civilian society. And if they want to do, they need to shed off their uniform and come and learn the rubrics of governing a civilian society. It's unfortunate, but some of these things can be attributed to the hypocrisy on the part of, African leaders, some African leaders who always want to, govern in such a way that
I was just about going there, and we just need to point out that the latest pictures you're seeing on the screens now, events of last night, when that announcement was made by the military junta in Gabon. Obviously, this would mean an end to that era of the Bongos, Omar Bongo. Then you have Ali Bongo taking over his father. I mean, the issue about African leaders and why they seem to have a firm grip on power, it's part of the problem, isn't it?
Oh, yes. That has given rise to the current phenomenon we call the third term agenda, where they want to rule forever. So because of that, they tinker with the constitution, change it to extend their tenure. And that is another form of a coup. I call it what? A constitutional coup. That they use the constitution, they use parliament to extend their tenure. And that creates the problem so that soldiers come and boot them out. But that is not to say that we want to glorify military rule. No, soldiers have never served government any better at all. Examples are there for all of us to see throughout Africa since 1960s, when most African countries got independent, and later they began to have military rule in the 1970s and 1980s and 1990s. We struggled this far. So the reverse that we are seeing, what we call in political science, democratic reversals, to fight against it head-on.
That fear is very apparent. The fact that even relatively stable democracies would have to safeguard what they have. If you take a listen to some of the reasons being given by this latest military team taking over power in Gabon, they seem to be talking about, how the electoral processes were handled. And the fear is that relatively stable democracies such as Ghana should be learning from this, making sure that they have everyone on board pre, during, and post the elections.
Normally, soldiers will come with all manner of justification, but for me, it's nothing I do about nothing. There is nothing in there. They come up with all manner of theories. One of the theory is that they have what they call a civilian regime performance. That when civilian regime is performing and you have problems that you have, such as the one you have mentioned, soldiers are the institutions that have the wherewithal to come and nib it in the bud. So because of that, they jump into the fray and then capture power and all that. You realize that this is just a justification, because when they come, their actions and activities point to the fact that they have nothing, they are clueless about how to govern a civilian society. And at the end of the day, they end up, aggravating the already worse situation that we have.
Okay, let's come back home now, but it's still related to democracy, isn't it? The National Democratic Congress, the largest opposition, raising concerns still with the election management body, EC, over the limited registration exercise. The EC will now be doing that continuous process ahead of that's the local level or local assembly elections. The NDC's problem is that the EC is simply restricting the registration to district officers. People might get disenfranchised. Do you agree?
I missed the tail end of your...
Yes, the fear that some people may not get the opportunity to vote, basically.
Yes, I'll come there. But before I do, there's something that I want to share my thoughts on briefly. Then I come there. There is a phenomenon that I have watched with pain. And I believe that all of us must rise up against it. Mm-hmm. And what is this phenomenon? The phenomenon that anytime we go to vote, whether at the national level or at the intra-party level, we tend to leave a problem for the society to handle. Let us cast our mind back to 1990s, where we started the Fourth Republic. You remember that the problem that we had with ballot box snatching. We had syndicates who would go around snatching ballot box and the rest of them. That was the problem. The state was able to handle it. And then we got to another level where the politicians introduced macho men, well-built young men to come and disrupt electoral processes. Then we graduated from there and moved into another era where we had vigilantes, party soldiers, if you like, who come around and cause problem during elections and all that. Then we move the process further to another level where we go to the polls and we shoot people. You saw the last election, 8 people died. Up to date, we have not brought those people to book. Then now we are in another, activity where we cast our ballots. Instead of it being secret, we take our cameras, take pictures, and send to our friends, or we show them openly to the public. It started off in Parliament. It gained currency in NDC elections, and it is in NPP today as the recent delegate conference that was organized, which people witnessed this. It's a worrying situation for me. One, because it tells us that anytime we go for election, there is something that politicians introduce into the system that create problems for us. But I'm not sure I'm not sure that in this case that will be the case for the NDC, because they are simply raising concerns about going ahead with a limited registration exercise when the CI has not been passed in Parliament. No, I'll come there.
I get the point now. Yes. I get the point now.
It is not. But this phenomenon is a very dangerous one. And I believe that we must, nip it in the bud. My fear is that if this thing continues, who knows? People can take it to the national level where they vote, they show it to people and all that. What are we going to experience in 2024?
Yeah.
I think your guess is as good as mine. Let's look at the NDC thing that we are fighting the EC. I think it's a just call. One registration, they want to limit it to only the district offices. Expand it. Create that enabling environment for everybody to be able to register and exercise his franchise. Is it too difficult for Electoral Commission to take this? I don't get it. Because this is a beautiful suggestion. It doesn't hurt anybody. Unless, of course, EC want to tell me that it hurts. But I know it doesn't hurt anybody. Expand it, because there are people in far away rural areas who stay a long distance from districts. So you want them to take car or walk long distances to come to the office. Why don't you create offices so close to them so that they can go and register? And then when the time comes, they can come and exercise their franchise. That is one way by which you will make sure that you expand the franchise to everybody. But once you restrict it, I'm afraid you are not creating what?
Giving aside the issues of franchise, there are concerns that the political parties may even be taking advantage of this, in terms of voter influence, and possibly using transport systems, the stipends they may be giving out to these persons to move to the district offices as a means of just, influencing voters unduly. The EC should be looking at that.
Yeah. That issue, I agree with you. That issue is also of a concern to me. They will just dole out money to people in the name of, oh yeah, we just give them little transport. But you realize that it's hypocrisy at the highest order. When the people, before coming to that program, they were living in poverty, they are in what? Very vulnerable position. Did you sponsor any of the activities? And then when it's getting to elections, that, oh, I have supported you with transport. Why are they, such people, why are they worrying themselves? Or why are they crying that people give more money? You want to spend 200 Ghana for transport for somebody, and then somebody is capable of giving 5,000. You are worried. That attitude must be stopped, because I don't see the point that you are saying that you are sponsoring somebody transport to come and listen to you and all that. In the traditional areas, when we are going to listen to a chief,
Dr. Asante?
money will come back to our homes.
Yeah.
That is the spirit of democracy. So I believe that this thing must cease, so that the people will use their own minds and make decisions for themselves, and then vote the way they want to vote.
But correct me if I'm wrong, the notion itself about the relations between the Electoral Commission and the largest opposition party doesn't seem to be too good going into a major election next year. We can't blame the EC, we can't blame the NDC right now, because everyone is just confused about what's happening. How can we get the two along? It doesn't seem that they're on the same page almost all the time.
You remember the last election, the EC came out with a body, eminent personalities who, they put that team together. You remember that team? Is it still in existence? This is the work of that team, that eminent group of people. We should call these people, talk to them, all the parties, so that they see the relevance of coming back to the table and discuss issues of elections generally. That is the way to go. Otherwise, it's going to be that banter, and I'm not sure the results is going to be good for all of us.
Okay. The New Patriotic Party wrapping up, the engagements with their presidential aspirants yesterday, and persons who are being accused of engaging in anti-party conduct. I recall talking to Justin Kodia-Frimpong. He's featuring on the Republic Press today. NPP's Justin Kodia-Frimpong talks tough, vows to crack the whip on erring members. And I recall JFK telling me that the party's constitution should be supreme, and that the party intends to crack down on any individual engaging in anti-party conduct. Just last night, or just yesterday, Alan Kojo-Chirmatik, for the very first time, we're seeing that outburst from him. We've not seen him in that state before. The fact that he's talking tough, going ahead to say he will not tolerate indiscipline any longer in the NPP. What does this speak of, the reorganization process of the governing party, and what are the likely implications going into November 4?
What it tells me, what has happened, what it tells me is that, look, institutions are broken down within the MP. When I say institutions, I'm talking about rules, regulations, procedures, and all that. This thing started off very long time, but the party did not put their foot down. They set the rules that don't do this. People were doing something different. No punishment was meted out to them. So it emboldened people. And then at this level, you see all manner of behaviors that are on the scene. And now you want to correct. It's gradually becoming too late. I believe that, yes, if they want to stem the tide, they need to enforce the rules. But would they be able to have the courage, the political will to deal with those who have crossed the line? Because yesterday I listened with rapt attention some of the reports that they sent to them, that there are people who breach the laws with impunity. They voted and showed their ballot to the people. What are you going to do about that? If they want to handle this, and they will handle it very well, they are going to have their family together. But if they want to make it discriminatory, people will rise up and challenge that situation. And the consequence will undermine the fortunes of the November 4th election. I think they must be very, very worried about this situation and make sure that whoever has gone against the rules of the game is giving the necessary sanctions so that they don't encourage impunity.
Let's see if that will happen. Concerns even about, the tie coming up ahead this weekend. One of the presidential aspirants, Kwame Nkrumah, was speaking to the Ghanaian publisher and pointing out that the former energy minister, Boakye Jaku, together with Adainimo, must be allowed to contest. No one should be, talked out of the idea of continuing just to go ahead with the special delegates conference number 2 or phase 2. That's going to be a very expensive exercise for the NPP, going into another special delegates conference even before the November 4 election. Should one of the candidates just pull out, give way to another, so we have a complete set of 5 who will now go for the ultimate elections in November?
Blessed, democracy is expensive, but it's a lesser cost than military rule. So we are prepared to pay for this. All right. When the framers of the NPP constitution did their work, they could not anticipate this. It's normal. It's not a fault on their part. It happens. But I'm sure that they've taken political notice of this. They will correct the anomaly. But there is a conversation or a discussion that is in the air, which people have very little or no knowledge about, that they believe that this superdelegate conference body must be scrapped. I disagree. I disagree in the sense that if you listen to Hamilton, he said when any electoral process is handled by those who know how to access those who are going to vote for, the selection becomes the best. And I am fortified by this statement that if you leave out the whole electoral process to be done by any other member within the party, to not be able to examine, interrogate, and then decide who should be the best one.
Yeah, but how about the aspect? But how about the aspect of democracy being for the people and by the people? You shortlist 5 out of 10. You limit the scope for delegates, grassroots of the party, who pay their dues, who expect that they'll be giving a fair opportunity at choosing out of 100, out of 1,000. I'm not expecting that will happen in the NPP someday, but just give them the opportunity to decide.
Yeah, Blessed, if what you are saying is anything to go by, that logic, if you should extend it, then we want to say that Ghana, with 31 million, you should have about 20 million MPs. There are only 275. This is what we call representative democracy. There are people you put in place to represent you. So it's a fraction of that population. All right. So that number which went and cast their vote the last time was indeed a fraction, which is representative of all those who are important within the NPP. That layer is very good. Now you come to another big one, which is 220,000 people.
Yeah.
That for me, it is the biggest, and it's very good in a sense that after these people have severed, all right, now you extend the frontiers to include more people who may not have direct contact with these people to be able to examine them very well. Now you give them an opportunity to also come and express their views, and that is a beautiful system. I wish they don't jettison the super delegate one. It's a beautiful thing, and it will allow people opportunity to examine those people critically before passing them on to the larger public.
Okay, round 2.
Coming to Boakye Jaku and Adainimo, I don't think that they should talk somebody out of this process. They should allow them to slug it out, and then we see the winner, because that is the rule of the game. in elections, you do nothing but what? Abide by the rules of the game, because democracy, take it or leave it, is anchored on rule of law. And that once you set the ground rules, you are prepared to go the full hog. So yes, it is a pain, but they should know that this is what? A better pain, that the pain that soldiers will inflict on people. I support this.
Okay.
Go all out.
Doc, grateful for your time this morning. Baba Awal is putting his bet on Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I wonder if you're doing same for him when it comes to the November 4 elections.
Yeah, Baba has made his view, but I tell you, it's the next level. There are a lot of factors that are going to change the dynamics. One, they are going to what? Elect somebody who will not be just a material for MPP, but for the whole nation at large. And that brings to the fore some of the canons we use to measure the choices of voters. One is the economy. Whoever has managed the economy or mismanaged the economy, that conversation will come up strongly. Two, we'll talk about corruption. Who has the political will to deal with corruption will also come out strongly. They will also look at what? Popularity of that person, all right? They will also look at what? The demographics will come and change the situation. Now you are going to have what? More youth in this group whose dreams and desires are different from the rest of what? The other superdelegate members. So issue of unemployment will come up tops. Who can handle this? This regime, has it been able to deliver? Who and who were in the forefront of the affairs of the state? Were they able to deliver so that we can also extend their mandate? These are some of the things that will come up. And then issue of loyalty. Do you have somebody that we can trust, that we can bang our hopes in? And of course, if you look at this government, the government has put all its hope, especially the president, on people who are loyal to him.
Okay.
And that has been sacrificed at the altar of what? Competence. So we need somebody who is competent to lead the party and lead it to what? The promised land.
Okay.
And the last one, they need somebody who has the political will to put his foot down, irrespective of the pressure and all that will come to him. So all these things will change the dynamics. It's not a simple task. So whoever thinks that he has led, or he's in a better position, or he's in a winning situation, must take note that things can change.
A very tall order for the NPP to deal with. But Dr. Kwame Assanti, thank you for joining us this morning to look at the newspapers. He's the director of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Dr. Assanti, thank you once more. Next is sports. It's coming up shortly.